Yes, people, and welcome back to the Be First podcast. Today's guest, we've got some boxing royalty with us. We've got professional boxing trainer, Mr. Wilkey. How are you, mate?
You all right, mate? Good? Good?
All good, I'm all good.
Should we have a normal introduction where I say I can't understand you, or not? Can I not say it's not politically correct? Say I can't understand
you can say all that, because your carer's over there waiting to pick it up, take you back to the care home, so that's fine, mate.
Yeah, that's all right, that's all right. It's better than the Cockney wanker, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And this comes with subtitles anyway, so
yeah, does it? Oh, that's all right.
If they watch it,
they see me dribbling.
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, he's had enough in.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's a pleasure having you on, mate, and we appreciate you taking your time out to the gym.
That's all right. Yeah, it's good.
Down,
I should bill Ken for a day's work that I've lost for coming down, but yeah, other than that, it's no problem.
But if you can take us back to the start, where you grew up and how you got into the sport that you love.
Yeah, grew up in Stepney, born in Stepney, got two sisters and a brother. No, sorry, that's two brothers and a sister. And started going down. I went first when I was about 10 or 11 years old, didn't like it. And then a really good friend of mine from the flats where we grew up, Stevie Webb, I think he's 4-time national schoolboy champion, which back in the day was good. He said to me, Carl, come down, we'll go down to St George's one night. And that was it. That was the starting of it. You know, like it was, back in the day, there was all good clubs in. St George's was a fantastic club in Stepney. You had Stevie there, who was a schoolboy champion, Davy Coombs, who was ABA champion. We had Dave McCann, who was the England heavyweight, boxer England loads of times. So then we had Terry Marsh in the gym as well, who went on to be world champion. So like a fantastic gym, and you're in awe of these people. So I was there for a few years at St George's and being trained by a fellow called Johnny Deering, who was a really good trainer. And then I don't know what happened because we was only kids in it, but he left. I was about 15, 16 and went to St Monica's in Hoxton Square. So I went over there, he rang me up and said, how you getting on? I said, I don't like it here. Georgie Bowers came, who was like a fantastic trainer. George had like loads and loads of champions at West Ham and at the Repton. So I went over with Johnny to St Monica's, and then that shut down, and from there we moved to the Lion. Had some more bouts at the Lion, and then got to 21, and I was obviously working in the meat market because I went in the meat market from school. And this is another thing that, you have fellas come in and go, oh, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a job overnight, so I will work overnight and I'll train in the day. Which is, they forget they've got to eat, sleep and drink and go and do everything else in the day. So I couldn't cope with being in the meat market and training and boxing and all that. So I packed up there and then started helping Johnny train the kids from there at the Lion. So I was there for about a year or so. And then the fella who used to run the old ILEA, the Inner London Education Authority, he came in the gym one night and said to me, look, we want to reopen St Monica's. We got 6 or 7 kids around there and a space and whatever. Do you want to go around there and then do your own thing? Which I did. So I went round there, reopened St Monica's, got that up and running, kids all boxing and whatever. And then I had a disagreement with the committee there, because what they wanted to do, they wanted to shut the gym. They was all stuck up the Repton's arse at the time, the committee, which is, they're probably half of them are dead and gone now. But and what had happened at that time, the Repton had lost their old original gym, which was by the fire station in Bethnal Green by York Hall. So the juniors were using our gym. So of course, when I had this disagreement with them, I wanted to open the gym in the summer, and they went, "Oh no! What the Repton do? They close." I said, "Well, I ain't interested what the Repton do. You people don't come and open it. I do." Anyway, they said, "Well, we're going to close." I said, "Well, if you close the gym, I'm going." So that's what they done. So I was at a show one night, and Fred Morgan, who used to run the Tottenham Boxing Club, said to me, like, would you come over and help train the fighters? So I said, oh, the boys. So I said, yeah. So of course then he made an application for my trainer's licence to come from the North East Division to the North West Division. And of course they was putting a block on it because the Repton the officials that was on the North East didn't like what I'd done because I'd left. The St Monica's fell apart. And so, of course, that went on for about 18 months. They've suspended my licence, so I could obviously go to the gym. I couldn't go in the corner or anything like that. And then a fella called Alfie Luxford, who used to be the secretary at Poplar Boxing Club, knocked on the door one morning because my dad was like, "We're taking him to court over it." I said, "Dad, the one is going to cost thousands, and two, like it's I ain't that bothered." So Alfie knocked on the door one Sunday morning and said, and this had been going on for about 18 months. I've been going up to see Chester Hawkes, who used to be the secretary of the London ABA. He said, "Oh, it's going to be discussed tonight. You'll probably get it back tonight." You go up the next day, no one said nothing. They're still knocking it back. And this is where what we were talking about earlier on, about these officials don't give a damn about the kids.
No.
Because at the end of the day, all they're interested in is sticking by their rules, and they didn't like what I'd done by leaving St Monica's. So anyway, Alfie Lux had said to me, like, would you come and train the juniors? So I said, well, I ain't got a licence. So he said, right. He said, if I can get your licence back, would you come? Sorry. And so I said, well, you get me licence back and I'll come. Come back about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, said, get your licence back. So I said, well, what did they say? He said, nothing. He said, I said to him, I want him to get his licence back. And because back in the day, and I don't know whether they still do it now, they probably do, when they take your licence off you, they ain't got to give you a reason. So there's me in limbo. So he said, no, I've asked for your licence, so they give me your licence back. So then I went on to have about 15 years at Poplar, training the juniors and whatever. And then we was in we had a blinding gym in Roman Road. It was in an old town hall, a council building. So then this was back years ago when the government decided they're going to make all the town halls, all the local town halls, like the main offices. So they wanted the gym back. So anyway, they put us in this derelict building, and they'd done it all out. They'd like lined all the walls, put the showers in, but no from the outside. When we first arrived there, I said to Alfie, they're going to shut us down here. He went, no, they promised us this, they promised us that. We went inside, it was all lined out, all the showers were done, the ring was in, all their gear was there. And he went, no, they promised us everything. I think the second week we went there, the whole building was down. Gym gone, everything. So that was the end of the club. And so from there, I just sort of jobbed about a little bit, helped down at Blue House for a little while. And then I'd obviously got divorced and was doing the knowledge to become a cab driver. So I was sort of out the game for a little while. And then 2 of the boys that used to box with me at Poplar, Adam Giorgio and Clyde Miller, 2 good kids they were, and we're still friends now. We still speak all the time now. They was training a kid called Jeff Mustafa. Do you know him, Jeff? No. Anyway, they rang me up. They said we're training him for this fight at the Peacock for Alan Mortlock, for an Alan Mortlock show. So Adam said, "Oh, come down and have a look. He's only got a couple of weeks. Come down and have a look at him." So I said, "All right." So I went down to Peacock and went, "Oh, you know what you've been doing with him." But anyway, we got him through that fight, and then from that little back into the Peacock, I got out as a cab driver, and I was driving a cab. I think I had 6 or 8 unlicensed boys that I was training for the Alan Mortlock shows at the Circus Tavern. And then Derek Granger rang me up one day because he started with me. Derek, you know Derek, you know?
Yeah.
He phoned me and said, because he started me as a junior at Poplar. And again, we're still good friends now. We still work together now. He said, so I've just gone to the TKO, Johnny Eames's gaff thingy. So I bumped into Johnny and I'm up here like helping out and training the fighters. He said, come up here. So I said, let me have a look. So I'd put in for me trainer's license anyway.
Your
pro license, yeah. So we went there, and obviously it was I can't remember, it was a 1 day or 2 day thing at the Peacock. But then it's just a multiple choice questions. Anyway, I won through all these questions in about 15 minutes, and I can't remember who the kid was. He's sitting at the side of me going. Anyway, at the end, I've read it again. Then Lynn Conroy was running it then with Les Potts. And I said, Lynn, I'm finished. She went, you sure? You checked all the answers? I said, yeah. So, of course, that was it. If you was in it and been training, then it was simple. So, anyway, Derek rang me up and said, come up here. So I popped in one day and John said, oh, yeah, come up, whatever. So I did. So I went from the Peacock then to help out at the TKO. And then Johnny said to me, I'll give you some fighters. I went, John, I don't want no fighters. I said, I'll come up Tuesday and Thursday, which I was doing at Peacock, playing golf the rest of the week. I said, I don't want no fighters. So he said, all right. So, of course, then I was up there for a couple of months and thought, I want to be going out to shows now. So, anyway, he said, look, we've got a kid here, Matt Jack. He's a really nice boy, Matt. He was a fireman, so he used to do it and lived in Cambridge. So, one week he'd do 3 days in the gym. Sometimes he might do 2 days. So, it was on when how his shifts was working.
Yeah. So,
he said, look, why don't you just look after Matt? He said, and then, you can come and go as you please and whatever. But I was still padding some of the other boys and training the other boys there as well. So anyway, I took Matt on, and then that was the start on it. And then Danny Connor. He'd fought Darryl Settlefield and got a draw at, down in Crawley somewhere. Anyway, a couple of weeks later, he showed up at the gym. So I said to Johnny, do you want me to train him? And Johnny was like, let's see if he turns up first. Let's give him a couple of weeks to see if he turns up, because he was bussing, training it all the way from Ackbridge, like Coulsdon, over that way where he lived.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was at a big football. Johnny used to run a big football charity thing at Canby Island, so I was chatting to him there, and he said, I said, what are you doing? He said, well, nothing. Like, Johnny's left me on my own and whatever. So I said, all right. I said, let me speak to Johnny on Monday. I said, no, I'll train you. And so that was the starting of having the start of my pro camp. And Danny had the first 4 fights with me and lost them all because he wasn't running. Never got hurt, but fought some tough kids, but wasn't running.
Yeah. So that takes us to the present day with your pro coaching.
Yeah.
Take us back to your amateurs. You said you started when you were 11.
Yeah.
What was your? I always take our guests back to their first amateur fight because we always remember it. What was yours like?
Well, mine was at Wilkey.
It's not a bad place. Like it's usually pros have their opener there.
And back in the day, they used to have like a plastic going around the balcony. You know where the balcony is now? It's all like iron. But they used to have a plastic coating around that, and people used to be banging it. Go,
Maybe that's why they got.
Yeah, that's obviously why they got rid of it. But so I had the first fight, and I used to suffer with nosebleeds, believe it or not. And like literally, you look at me, and my nose would start bleeding. It was that bad. And I remember my mum saying, when she took me to the doctor saying, I hope he never wants to be a boxer. And of course, that was it. But of course, the first fight I had, I fought a fellow who was a mate of mine, and quite not a real good friend, but a mate of mine, a kid called Johnny Fullerton. He was around Watney Street, which was 5 minutes from us. He boxed at the Repton. And I remember my trainer saying to the referee, listen, his nose is going to bleed, but don't worry about it. So anyway, we got to the 3rd round, and I was smothered. In even the white bit of my socks, the laces were white in my black boots, they was all red. Everything was red, and everything had to be thrown away after. And the referee brought me. I remember him bringing me back to the corner and saying to my trainer, Johnny Deering, I can't let this go on. I was just smothered in with all this blood, so I got stopped in the 3rd round by not being hurt, by just being smothered in blood everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. And
did you ever get that shorter? Because I know kids who suffer from it now, they get it like...
Yeah, so I had it cauterised. So
that's the weird,
first I think was it the first time the club sent me to a doctor who was a top doctor in London at the time, Dr. Blonstein, his name was. I'll never forget, it was in Battersea. So my mum took me over there. He said, right, we're going to get it done. And they sent me to the ENO. Oh, no. Firstly, my mum got it done by our doctor in the London, and it didn't work. Then the club sent me to him, and he sent me to the ENOs and Throat in Grazing Road, and they done it, and then it worked. But, and after that, it wasn't too bad. But, yeah, that was the first night. I got smothered in blood everywhere, and, But, and that was in the day when, and I'll say to my boys now, is that, it's not until you go up and start fighting sort of at a decent level, then you start saying, oh, yeah, we know him, we see him box the other week or whatever, or someone will come like, oh, be careful with him, he's a good body puncher. You just turned up at the show and you just didn't know he was fighting. You didn't know who was Southpaw, didn't know where he lived. Now, these boys, they want to know who their doctor is, who their dentist is. Yeah. Are we coming out to the right music? And it infuriates me, like, we're here to fight. We're not here to listen to the music. But that's what they're like now. But years ago, and then another thing, you'd come in the gym and go, you're boxing Friday? Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah,
you know,
now it's like, oh,
now it's all,
I've got belly ache.
Yeah,
and you're like,
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing Friday yet.
Don't know, that's the best one, yeah. Don't know what to do Friday, yeah.
And I remember getting a phone call one night. I was just going out, and I'll always remember this one because like something that sticks in your mind. So Johnny Deering's rung the house and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just going out." He said, "Don't go out." He said, "I think I've got a fight for you." So anyway, a little while later, get yourself over to York Hall as quick as you can with your bag. Go over to York Hall, dinner show. I'm fighting a boy called, I'll never forget his name, Bobby Payne, because he was a good fighter, Bobby, on a dinner show at York Hall. When I get into the ring, now bear in mind these were all adults, I was getting booed because Bobby Payne was the superstar of Fairbairn House.
Yeah.
And ended up stopping him in the third round. But
They weren't fucking booing them, were they?
Yeah, no, there wasn't. Then it was like, "Oh, where you from, son?" and all that. But yeah. As I say now, like as you say, they want to know the fucking ins and outs of the Doc's house with them.
Yeah, literally.
But you know, you just back in the day, you just turned up and you just see a name on the board. Oh, I might have seen him. No, I ain't.
Yeah.
Don't matter. You worked it out when you got in there.
Yeah.
And not now. They want they want 6 weeks sparring with a southpaw, and is he coming from this angle? Is he coming from that angle? Like back in the day, you just worked it out as the fight went on.
As you got in there,
yeah.
So how many bouts did you have as an amateur?
I was about 30 odd, I think, in the end.
They all for the same club?
No, from St George's to St Monica's.
Yeah.
And then to the Lion.
Yeah, you said before you had the Lion.
So, and then we used to do exhibition bouts and all that at that time. You know, go to like shows at like open air shows and things like that, and do sort of sparring, glorified sparring.
Oh, okay, that didn't go on your record.
No,
like that.
Yeah.
Did you win any titles? Is it?
No. Got beaten as schoolboy finals in. It used to be London finals then. Now it's Essex and all that. I don't know how they work it now.
It still is London.
But Tiller Road. By a kid that came out with Stephen Montebello, who used to box for Battersea, came out in his England vest. So like I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone thought I won it that night, but lost it. And got beat in the North East Divs a couple of times. So no, but looking back, I was probably a nightmare because I would win when I wasn't supposed to win and lose when I was supposed to win.
Yeah.
You know, when you think, oh, who's he going to turn up tonight with? But yeah.
What sort of fighter was you as an amateur? You come forward?
Yeah, just come forward. Forward. Yeah. I think most fighters was then. Now and again, you get the exceptions. You know, like say I mentioned Terry Marsh was like excellent, like long range, keep your long range and whatever. But most fighters just got in and had a go. You know, that was it. Yeah.
It was like milling, like just
punching
fuck out of each other. Yeah.
But now I like my fighters to be nice and compact and tight and yeah.
What sort of times change, don't they? Things evolve a bit more. Or?
Yeah, and it's different. It's different. Obviously, doing the pros is completely different.
Yeah.
You know, I always explain it to people that professional boxing is fighting and amateur boxing is boxing.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So
did you not have any aspirations to turn pro?
No,
obviously
not really. I think deep down I knew I wasn't good enough because back in the day you had to be good enough. And I say this to people now that if I was in the same position now, I would probably turn pro because these kids are having 7 and 8, sometimes 10, 12 fights, and they ain't fought an opponent. Yeah, ain't fought a live opponent. You know, as I say, deep down I knew I wasn't good enough. I couldn't cope with the working of a night and then training. You know, going to the gym in the evening and that sort of thing. So no, deep down I knew I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I took to the training like duck to water. So yeah.
So back to almost that present day there, you're at TKO, and then you start building your first team. So Danny Connors was your first.
Yeah, Matt Jack was the first. You know, like I've always be sort of thankful for Johnny Eames for giving us a start there. You know, then Derek was in charge. When Derek went, I sort of took over. So Danny came. Tommy Martin started with me. That was a funny story because he was coming to sign contracts with. I was just doing little bits with him, and then Johnny come up to me while I was doing the circuit, and he went, he wants to train with you. I said, who does? He said, Tommy Martin. I went, we can train with him if he wants. He said, his dad's coming up to sign the contract, and he said he's not trying to sign it unless he trains with you. So I went, all right. So Tommy had, I think his first 2 or 3 with me, and so I had Danny Connor then, Frankie Monkhouse has come. I had Aaron Arif, who was later fought in the prize fighter for me. And I had Areti Masaduka, the Greek girl that had come from Greece, had emailed Johnny to say that she wanted to come to train, you know, for us to have a look at her. She wanted to be a pro. She'd been a European, I think it was European gold medalist for Greece and world bronze medalist or something like that. So she's a really good fighter, southpaw. So when Johnny says, listen, got this email, do you want to train her? So I said, well, let's get her in and let's have a look at her. And she was special, and we took to each other, although her English was good, better than my Greek. But so she came, so she was with me. Who else did we have then? I had a Eastern European boy called Yuri. He had a couple of fights with us, but then moved off to Netherlands somewhere. So that was the starting of the camp. And then we had a disagreement. I said, not a disagreement, I don't know what it was in the end. Billy Joe was training for his world title fight, and they wanted to shut the gym so he could train on his own. And I said to Johnny, well, look, I've got all these fighters, which were Johnny's fighters, not mine. You know, I was the trainer, but they was all managed by him. Danny wasn't managed by him, and Aaron wasn't. I said, we're going to have to find somewhere else, which we did, and we ended up in the Lansbury. I spoke to Adam Spelling, and he said, yeah, come and use the gym. And so we went down there, and from there, it just sort of exploded. You know, I had Johnny Cole, I had loads of them then after that. So we went on to have all that success when I went out on my own at the Lansbury.
Did you win prize fighter, Tony?
Yeah. We had. I got a message. We was in Rome for Pat's 50th, and I got a message from Johnny Cole because Johnny used to come sparring at the TKO back in the days. I've been lunatic, just like throwing punches. Everyone when they see him walking, oh, Johnny Cole's here to spar, like he's going to go mad. But saying could he come down and train with me? So I rang Jason, because he was with Jason Rowlands at the time. Yeah. I said, Joe, I've had this message up with Johnny Cole. So he said, oh, Al. He said, yeah. He said, I've told him to go to you. He said, I ain't got time to train him. He says, good fighter. He said, but I just ain't got time. So he came, and anyway, I said to him, come Monday morning. He come with his dad, who's a really nice man, just passed away not so long ago. And we sat in the corner of my gym, and I went to him, listen here. I said, you might have been a superstar in Newham. You're nothing in this gym. Do you understand me? So he said, he looked at me like that and went, yeah. So I told his dad, I said, do you understand what I'm saying to him? So he said, yeah. I said, there's only one superstar in this gym, and that's me, like that. So he went, I said, you happy with that? And he went, yeah. I said, we'll go and get changed. So anyway, when he got changed, and about 3 or 4 months later, we was over the park running, and his dad went to me, Alec, he said, I've got to tell you something. I said, what's that, Pat? He said, you're the best thing that's ever happened to him. Because to me, I didn't give a shit who he was. Yeah. He was just another boy that I was going to be training, and he'll do what he's told, or he can piss off. It's as simple as that. So, of course, then we had Johnny, Danny, Aaron Arif come. We had Frankie Monkhouse, Arthur Herman had joined us, Russian German Arthur, wasn't he? I think when he joined me, I think he was 19 wins with something like 17 knockouts. Yeah. And he was a strange one, Arthur, and he's one of the only ones that still phones me to this day. But when he first came in, I said to Johnny Sparks, because he was helping me in the gym at the time, and I said to him, he ain't gonna last here, because he had the personality of a plank, Arthur, and went on to be like one of the best boys, just still mixed in, and he just went. We just had loads of them in there. From him, we had Richie Gray, we had Cole. Ozenkowski, do you remember Cole? Yeah, he was in there. Ben Day came up for sparring one day and never went home. We just had we had Adam Salmon in there. He was a great fighter, Adam. And the thing was, all them boys all just stayed with me, And this is what a lot of these kids don't realise. One, you got to find a trainer that you like. but you've got to believe in the process. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. You know, you're doing, you know, certain things with them that are making them stronger and whatever. But all my boys, no one ever left. Johnny, the story with Johnny was he was just going to pack up. He rang me one day and said, I'm going to pack up. And but by then he'd won he'd won a Masters title, Southern Area title. He won a WBC Youth title. We signed him to MTK when I had a meeting with Daniel and Anton, signed him to MTK. So he was on some of the Sky shows. But early on, he'd only had about four fights from me, I think. He lost. He got a draw with William Warburton in his first fight, and we used to rib the life out of him because I was there, and he got a draw, and he said to him, "You lost that fight." "No, I never." I said, "You did. I was there. You lost that fight. You got a draw. He's likely to get a draw." So we used to take the piss out of him. But he just went from strength to strength, Johnny. It was just one of those, you know, combinations. He gelled with me like all the boys do. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to have that, you know, gelling to get the best out of them.
Yeah.
But Danny was sort of, he was pestering the life out of Eddie Hearn and said, like, he put up this welterweight title prize fighter, and he said, put Johnny in it. Anyway, put Johnny in it. Johnny was like 20, I think he was 22 to 1 to win it. And I mean, I don't bet on anything anyway, not the boys, not nothing. But of course, he went on to win it, didn't he, Johnny? And all his cousins were winning 20s and 30 grands and all that. I think I was the only one who didn't earn any money out of it. Yeah. But yeah, that was a great night.
And Richie Gray, because that was my first encounter with knowing sort of you, and because it was early on in my career here. And I remember you training Richie Gray, and I remember watching him a couple of times at the Brentwood Centre. Didn't he have to retire? Didn't he have a bad hand?
Yeah. He was a good prospect, Richie. Yeah. Got beat. I don't know what was his last fight when he didn't listen in the corner. Put the boy on his arse in the first round, and then we said, "Listen, you got to stay on your boxing." He didn't. He tried to fight this kid, and the kid jabbed his head off, like long, gangly black kid from up in Nottingham somewhere. Yeah. And he used to suffer with his hand. His hand used to come up, and I remember saying to him, "That looks like a career-ending injury to me." And he went, no. He said, "Look, I want a bit of time off. I'm getting married, going on honeymoon, Anyway, he had about 6 months out. Came back, training, first spar, his hands up like that. That was the end of him. Literally. I knew from the start it would be a career-ending injury.
You never found out what it was?
Well, no, I think it was one of them. I think it used to be, is it a steel fixer? They do a lot of that twisting with the metal and all that.
A job like that,
I think when he went to the doctors, they said, well, there's nothing wrong with your hands. You just can't be a boxer. You know, it's one of them injuries that, you know, if you don't do anything, if you don't do boxing, it won't give you no problems. And that's what it was. Yeah, mad, it was he had sort of scans on it and whatever, and the ligaments were damaged, and I think he had sort of scar tissue on them, and that was it. After that last spar that day, he never done it again. Yeah, it was a shame, really.
Do you still keep in contact with people like that? With
no, Johnny, not really. Johnny, now and again, we message each other on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. You know, we watch each other's stories. But going back to injuries, that's the same happened to Chesney Hawkins. No one was saying Keith. Yeah,
it was his heart, wasn't it?
No, his brain. So he was going to be good. He was going to be good. Chesney. He'd been around it all his life. Yeah. With his dad, didn't have a great amateur career, 15 fights or whatever. And they'd come to me, and I think he had, was it 3 or 4 in his first season, and won them all. But, you know, he's got the potential to be good. Yeah. So, all of a sudden, he has his second medical. We get a letter from the board saying about his brain scan. So, I think his mum and dad paid private. He had to go and see this neurosurgeon. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing in the corner of the gym on the phone talking to his mum. And his mum said he's got the only way to describe it is like a cold sore on his brain that will weep on its own. So as soon as she said it to me, I went cold, and I said to her, he won't get a licence. He won't get a licence from that. But the doctor said to him, this specialist, it won't affect your boxing. So of course, then what happens, then results go off to, I think it's 3 specialists look at it from the board, and they all come back and said no. So I rang Robert Smith and said, Rob, like, what's happening with this boy? And he said, Al, listen. He said, it's bad enough when they bleed in the fight. He said, this boy's bleeding on his own. He said, he ain't got no chance of getting the licence. Yeah. So that was the end of him. And then about 18 months later, his dad rang me up and said, Al, look, can we try again? He said, he's lost his way. I mean, he can't, come back to like reality, really. So I said, well, look, let's get him back in the gym, get the brain scan done again. So now the 3 specialists that have looked at his brain scan, 2 of them said he's okay. And the last one said, apparently, I spoke to Donna at the board, and she said, well, the last one has said, yeah, I think he's going to be okay, but as soon as they put the but in there, that was it. It was gone. So he never boxed again. So, yeah. And Karl Ozenkowski was the same. He had his first pro fight with me, really left it too late to turn pro, but he was a brilliant amateur, wasn't he? When I trained John Wayne Hibbett for his WBA title, and he was doing 10-round sparring with him to get him ready for that fight. He goes out in his first pro fight. His fight, I'll never forget this, a kid called Mick Mills. He was like just a journeyman that they dragged out the car park at Southpaw. And he's winning the first round, I think first or second round. All of a sudden, he's got him on the ropes and he's leaned forward like that crucial mistake with his hands down. And this Mick Mills literally shut his eyes and went bang and knocked him out. But he must have been out cold for well over a minute in the ring. And that was it. When he went for his next brain scan, he had his next medicals. Heather from the board rang me up and said, Alec, there's something wrong with this boy's eye test. I said, why? What's the matter? He said, well, your eyes are 6, like his last medical was like, your eyes are 6 out of 6. She said he's 18 out of 6 or something. In other words, he's virtually blind. Yeah. So when they got it done again at somewhere else, same thing. And that was it. That was a career-ending flipping knockout. And that boy had so much experience, it was unbelievable.
From that?
From that one bad knockout.
From that one, mistake.
Mistake, criminal mistake. Because when you look at all my fighters, I'm obsessed with defence. You've got to, listen, it's all right fucking hitting someone, but you've got to worry about what's coming back. So when you look at all my fighters, they all fight with a nice tight guard. Yeah. And he leant in with his hands down like that, bosh, all over him, won it. Yeah.
Fuck,
yeah. But as I say, since we went to the Lansbury, we went on, I said I had to write them down, didn't I?
I think you put it under your leg there, your left leg.
Did I? Yeah. So we had... Do
you need glasses and that?
They are actually, where are they? I didn't bring them in, I bet. We had 8 British Masters titles. Remember the British Masters?
Yeah.
So we had 8 British Masters champions. Obviously, Aretti won a international Masters, and then won 2 versions of the world title, super featherweight and lightweight. Then Johnny won a Masters Southern Area WBA youth title and the prize fighter. I had Aaron Arif in the semi-final of the prize fighter. Danny was in the final with another prize fighter because it was like the Alec Wilkey show that night because I had him and Aaron both in the same one, and they've both gone through the first round. So now they're saying, well, who's Conley going to be in if... But we'd organised that Derek would do one and Matt Marshall would do the other. Then I trained Wayne Hibbett for his WBC title. I think that's it. Yeah. So we had like loads of success when we went to the Lansbury. Yeah. So, and then we got 2 boys fighting. So I've got Dean Gardner and Brandon Obrecht fighting for Southern Area titles on the 6th of December on the Steve Goodwin show. So hopefully we're hoping for a good night there.
You can add to your list.
Yeah.
Add to your list. Who else have you got in your camp at the moment? With you?
Zoe, I've got Zoe in the gym. She's fighting on the 15th of November, just a run out. She lost to Freddie Warren's girl out in Gibraltar early on in the year for a Commonwealth Silver, I think it was. And then we're going to be looking for titles for her next year. And that's it really. I've got a kid called Archie Newman. He's he's in, but he's in and out at the moment. Got some problems at home, but he's going to be a decent little fighter as well. And then obviously Sarah's just retired, and she's Sarah Worsfold.
Yeah.
She's got struck down by this really bad medical thing that she's got, but she would have been a decent fighter as well. You know, been a good kickboxer and really fanatical trainer. But she's now helping in the gym, which is good. And Johnny Sparks is back in the gym helping me as well. So
yeah, he did say he popped in not long ago and said he was helping you out again, which is nice.
So
what about yourself in terms of health and injuries? Have you had any of them over your career?
Oh yeah, not really. Well, I had the prostate cancer back in diagnosed in 2019, which was we was talking about it early on, which is I just went to the doctors and I can't even remember why I was there, and I just happened to say to her, I'm getting up 2 or 3 times a night to go a wee. And she went, well, you're 62, it's your age.
Yeah, an old bastard, yeah.
Yeah. Then I had to admit to that. And then she said to me, we'll have a feel of your prostate. And she was a right little sort, my doctor. And I went to her, listen here, you ain't going there, so I'll tell you that now. And then she went to me, I've only got little fingers, Mr. Wilkey. So I went, all right. So we went back the next Wednesday. So I get up on the thing, she sticks her finger up. And then, while she's washing her hands, she went, sit down. So I said, what's the matter? And this is loads of, luck with this thing. So, firstly, I've just mentioned it to her. Secondly, she turns out to be an expert. She said to me, it doesn't feel right. She said the right half of it's a bit hard. So she's tapping away. So they'd done a blood test and my PSA was only 2.5, which was really low. So that was on the Wednesday. On the Friday morning, I get a phone call. I was at the gym. And they said, we need to make an appointment for a scan. Obviously, that's what she's tapping away from, because she said, you're here from the hospital. So anyway, this girl says to me, we've got to make an appointment for a scan. So I said, oh, yeah. So she said, can you come tonight at 9:30? And I went, it's Friday. She went, don't worry about that. Can you come tonight at 9:30? I went, yeah. So I went and had the scan. And the following week, I go and see this first specialist at the Basildon. Anyway, he's jump up on the table. He has a feel. Sit down. He said, well, the feel of it, that's every doctor's own thing. So he obviously couldn't feel it, this guy. And he said to me, going by the feel of it and your PSA being so low, he said, I would normally discharge you today. He said, but the MRI is telling us there's something there. So you need to kind of... So I went and had the first biopsy, and that showed that there was something like 4 or 5 cores had cancer in them. And so when I went to see the main guy, he went to me, well, we could have pulled them out when we was doing the thing. So he said, right, we can do 3 things. He said, we can either treat it with injections and all that stuff, we can remove it, or he said, we can do another biopsy. So I said to him, well, let's do the biopsy. So he said, okay, they make an appointment. So Pat dropped me off in the morning. He was there all day. They put you out. Although, like, a couple of my mates have had it done awake. But what they do, they push a plate between your between your legs, and then they go through the plate into your prostate and then take the cores out. And then I think they took 24, and I think 14 of them had cancer in. But they were spread all over, because what they do, they cut it into 4, and it was like 3 here, 3 there, 4 there, it was all that. So anyway, when I went back and see him, he said to me, look, he sort of looked at my file and said, look, you're 62. He said, you're reasonably fit. He said, have it out. So I said, okay. So we'll have it out. So now this is sort of November, getting into January of 2020, before the lockdown. So we go to see the specialist in Southend Hospital. So he said this is now the beginning of March, when lockdown kicked in, didn't it? The 23rd of March. And he said to me, he said, look, I can't see you for at least 6 months, but it needs doing. So we came out there, me and Pat, and said, let's do this thing. Let's, get it on the card or something. Let's get it done private. Let's go private. So we went and see this guy in the Nuffield, and he looked at all my stuff. He said, it needs doing. He said, he said, I can do it in 4 to 6 weeks. So I said, okay. So then the specialist from Southend had phoned me. Oh, Mr. Wilkey, he said, we've stopped all operations because now COVID's kicked in, which they was all complaining about, weren't they? Loads of people were waiting cancer operations. They just stopped everything. So anyway, we went to the Spire at Brentwood. It just shows you how it's all money. Now, it's a private hospital and everything was just working normal. The only thing was Pat couldn't come in with me. I had to wear a mask, but other than that, that hospital was all working normal. So, so anyway, I don't know if it's luck or not. Danny rings me. We go and see the specialist. He said it's going to come to 13.5 grand to have it done. So we went, right. So that was on the Thursday. So Danny Connor's rung me. And for people that don't know Danny Connor, you either like him or you don't. And a lot of people don't like him. And there is a lot of people that do. But so he rings me up and he said, how'd you get on at the specialist? So I said, oh, yeah, no, you can do it. So he said, how much is it going to cost? I said, it's going to cost 13.5 grand. So, oh, yeah, well, that's all right, as long as he can do it, whatever. All right, I'll speak to you later. Put the phone down. Brings me back about half hour later and says, but this is typical Danny, because he used to raise a lot of money for charity, for the Amelia May charity and all that. So he rings me back and says, I know what I'm going to do. I said, what's that? He said, I'm going to do a Just Giving page. So, you can ask Pat next time she comes in. I said, do what? I'm telling you now, the air went blue in my house. Don't you do that for me. You just leave it. I'll sort it. And then after me ranting, he went, hang on, stop. I went, what? He said, I never listened to you for 10 years while you trained me, and I ain't listening to you now, and put the phone down. So, so anyway, that was about 9:30. So he rings me back about 12 o'clock. He said, I'm going to bed now. He said, have you looked at that page? I said, you better not have done it, Dan. So I'm telling you now, you better not have done it. So he said, just look at it. Anyway, I've gone on it, looked at it. There's like 1,500 quid on there. He's only had it up about 2 hours. And then we went on within, so by the following Thursday, we had over 15 grand. MTK put a big lump in. I was talking to Al Smith, and Al said to me, he said, I've been talking to Danny. He said, what's the matter with you? And I went, listen, Al, this ain't sitting with me. This ain't sitting right. People helping me out to pay for this operation. And he said to me, Al Smith said to me, Al, listen, you've given this sport 40 years. Let them give you something back. And the people were just chucking. And bear in mind, it was in COVID as well, when everyone didn't know whether they was working or not. Yeah. Tony Pill, he's a good trainer, turned into a good trainer now, Tony. Been friends for years. He had these boys do a marathon 24-hour skip-a-thon or something. All these boys were skipping. They put in over £1,000. Everyone messaged me that I hadn't spoken to for years. And even now, although it's like, 5 years later, when I go to shows, people still say to me, oh, how's your health? You all right? So everyone still sort of remembers it. No, but that's so nice. It's blinding. And like we said, it goes to show there are nice, genuine people out there. Yeah. But also it goes to show what a nice bloke you are, because people wouldn't have donated if they thought I think of you, that you'd think you're a bellend, but... I was going to say, don't start being nice to me, because I'm going to be nice to you when I come in here. I wasn't, trust me. I wasn't going to start. Yeah. But no, it's nice. And so you got that money. Yeah, got funded. Got it removed. Got it removed and everything's good. All clear, touch wood, everything's good. And it was funny when I went back to see the specialist in the Nuffield, like on my final checkup. Yeah. And he's gone to me, right, jump up on the table. Was going to stick his finger out. I went, oh no. I said, I thought this was finished. He went, trust me, this is the last time. Because everybody had been up there, everybody in Basildon, I think, have had the feel of it by the time I got it done. That's what it felt like. Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's all turned out good. No, yeah, it was good. Good. So, yeah. But getting back to how we slag each other off is how that's what goes on in my gym. People know that's been in my gym. You know, I worked in the meat market for 25 years where you could say anything to anyone and no one ever took offence. Yeah. No one. It doesn't matter who you are. No, you know, if someone shouted out big nose, 4 blokes would go, what do you want? Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it was. Yeah. Not nowadays. People choose the offenders. No, you can't even look at people, can you? No, you can't. But when you come in my gym, that's how I still run it now. So you just said there you give 40 odd years to boxing, which is... Yeah, 47 years this year. I've been a coach. Wow. That's unbelievable. And I don't know whether I like it or not. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But I'm lucky that, I've been a cab driver 27 years, actually tomorrow. So I've always had the time to give it. When I was doing the amateurs, I used to So I used to work in the night and then go to my mum and dad's who lived in Stepney, then where we lived, sleep in the afternoon, go to the gym in the evening, then go home and go back to work the next day. So 2 or 3 nights a week I was doing that. Yeah, and it's all for, and I think I'd like to, if I look back, I'd like to think that I've turned out good seasoned pros. Yeah. You know, like they've all believed in this, you know, believed in the process. Obviously, none of them have left other than Johnny. It was a thingy with Johnny. He was going to pack up, and then he rang me back and said, "Oh, I think I'd like to try somewhere else." I said, "Look, I'll speak to Al Smith," and he went to Al Smith. But everyone else just packed up for either medical reasons or they've had enough or whatever. So at least, you know, I like to look back and think, well, I always turned out good, solid pros. You know, not people that are just playing at it, like, you know. And obviously, is it like no money in it?
No, and people think there is, like you said before. People, oh yeah, I seen you on Sky Sports.
Yeah, I mean, I went through a spell of like, being on Sky Sports regular, and you know, me mates would say to me, "Oh, what are you driving the cab for? I see you on Sky last week, and you were on Sky the week before." And yeah, but hang on a minute, I was on Sky for 300 quid. You know, they automatically think because you're on the telly. You know, or even the fighters as well. You know, the fighters some are only getting 4 or 5 grand. You know, time you take their exes out of that, you know, they were getting 3 grand. So, all right, and they've trained 10 weeks for it.
We had a fighter in the other week, said they earned £2.50.
Oh, yeah.
After they paid out everyone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you get all these misfits fighters getting 10, 15 grand.
It's unbelievable. It's just like we were saying, it makes a mockery of it.
No, it is.
But it's always been a different, like the white collar thing, there always been a different crowd to professional boxing. Yeah. So, you know, they would just want to go and see their mates have a tear up where, you know, like good boxing fans appreciate, you know, years ago when I was young, we used to go to York Hall on a regular. York Hall would be banged out on a Saturday night because you say, oh, I don't know, like maybe we always used to go to Derek's fights anyway. But it's, oh, like Derek Ranger's on. Oh, we'll go and watch him. We'll go and have a few beers, go and watch him, then we'll go out somewhere. So that's how it was back in the day. Now the kids have got to sell their tickets, and you know I've had 1 or 2 fighters, not many. One of Derek's fighters fought for nothing one night because he didn't make enough money, and that's the reason Aaron Arif turned it in. Struggled to sell the tickets. Great fighter, Aaron. Got to like the semi-finals of the prize fighter. Funny enough, he come in the gym the other day, but. You know, people don't realise how hard it is because what the public see, they see that hour at York Hall where, you know, they're screaming your name and you fight and you do well and whatever, and then afterwards they'll want fighters, you know, want pictures with you. They don't see like the every day in the gym, the every night out running, the cold mornings when we get over the park and we're doing sprints. It's freezing, bleeding cold. You know, don't see none of that. All they see is that little hour at York Hall and think, oh, he's cracked it, hasn't he? Yeah. Don't see what he's put into, to get to that position. No, they don't. So, you know, and along that, you know, I've never been given, you know, ABA champions or anything like that. You know, the boys that the promoters always pick up early. So, you know, these boys have just earned a living the hard way. Yeah. You know, and we've gone along with it, and if we get paid, and if we don't cry about it. So it's one of them.
So within that time, within the sport, is the sport changed for the better, or is it going backwards?
I think back in the day, you wouldn't have had so many journeymen. You know, you had journeymen, but they would be decent fighters. You know, like a journeyman back in the day would probably have had 16 or 18 fights, but he'd probably won 8 of them. Now you're getting obviously the journeymen that just come and move them around, which to a certain extent you agree with when the kids are young and new, you know, no head guards, their first time out in a big crowd maybe. So, you know, he's in some of the, like, the tough ones who come to fight, then, you know, if you ain't switched on, you will get beat. You know, you've seen that recently where some of the journeymen have turned over the so-called prospects, where they've thought, well, you know, I remember Johnny Greaves telling me once, he was down in Southampton somewhere, he said, I had this kid up against the rope saying, like, well, you got to hit me. You got to hit me. Otherwise, like, you're going to lose. Yeah. And, like, he's whispering this to this kid in a fight. But yeah, other than that, I'm not a great believer in, you know, the strength and conditioning. certain people would disagree with me, like especially the strength and conditioners. Because if you're giving a boy, his medicine ball and he's whatever you're doing in the gym, and in our gym we've got that picture we've got a mural, haven't we, of Lennox Lewis and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And I always point to people and say they didn't do any strength and conditioning.
No.
The only strength and conditioning they done was run with hobnail boots on.
Yeah.
And running early in the morning. And the idea of running early in the morning was because the air was clean early in the morning. Because if you was running at 10 o'clock at night back in the day, you'd be running in the smog virtually.
Yeah.
So, but, if the boys want to do it, I'd sort of let them cut it down, but let them do it. Because what's happening now is, Manny Pacquiao's got a strength and conditioning. I've got to have one.
Yeah. They see all that.
Yeah.
They see all that. Rather than honing in of what they
None
need.
of my fighters have done strength and conditioning. All them champions that I've trained, none of them done strength and conditioning. But they could all fight.
It's the basics, isn't it?
That's the basics of it.
It's the basics.
Yeah.
You don't need to add these sprinkles. And
Yeah.
things. Look, it works for some people, but others,
Oh, yeah.
they just need the fundamental basics.
That's it. A nutritionist is probably more important. Especially if you're someone who struggles with your weight. And most of them do. But, I've got like, say like this Archie Newman, he's walking around on his weight, where Dean, he ain't walking around on his weight, but he needs a strength and conditioning. So not a strength, he needs a nutritionist to work with him. Brandon O'Brake has just come from me from Billy Rumble. He's got a strength. He does a bit of strength and conditioning with his dad, and he's got a nutritionist. That's more important, a nutritionist, to make sure you're eating right. But the basics of boxing should be done in the gym.
Yeah.
And that's what we was talking about earlier on when the board were giving out licences to people that just could do a bit of pads.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say to anyone is that anyone could pad someone. You could come in my gym tomorrow and do pads with everyone.
Yeah.
You won't teach them fuck all, but you could do pads with them. And this is what's been happening over the years. It's sort of tightening up now because they're on it, the board. But years ago, they was literally giving, you turned up and said, I've got a gym and whatever, and they'll ask you a few questions and you answer the right questions and then you got a trainer's license, or you went and took the course and got a trainer's license.
Yeah.
But now I think they're on it a bit tighter. And, I think that trainers should have at least some sort of experience with kids, so that when someone walks in off the street, you can say, right, this is how you want your feet. This is how your hand's supposed to be, and we're going to go from there.
Again, going back to that fundamentals.
Yeah, the fundamentals.
Not looking at what the pros are doing, maybe look at the amateur first.
Yeah, and this is where a lot of these people that, you see this stuff, you'll see something on someone's story, and you think, what's he doing that for? And then also something will pop up on YouTube. It's just, whatever he's doing, he's seeing it on YouTube. So they see and see, this is another thing that, you've got to understand is that I always use Labachenko as an example. That he is, one of the best fighters in the world. But what happens is you get trainers think, I'm going to get Craig to do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Think, what? He's got more chance of winning the lottery than being able to do what Labachenko does.
Yeah.
But that's where you've got to understand what your fighter is capable of. If he's capable of doing it, then do it with him. But most people think, I see Labachenko go, now I'm going to try that in the gym tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't work.
No.
It don't work. You've got to know what your fighter's capable of. Like something like that. I mean, Dean Gardner's turned into a real good fighter. Been with me for, I think it's 5 years. He said this, and we've got this good Southern Area title opportunity coming in December. He's fighting Aaron Prosper. But to try and get him to fight like Labachenko, you've got no chance. But try and get him to fight, and the boy can fight.
Yeah.
So you've got to know what you're doing. Yeah. So, your own experience tells you, well, we can't do that with him because he won't never get it off. And I remember Joshua was one of the sparring partners. They was all doing a thing with the trainer and he was doing something like right hand, left hook, roll, body shot, right hand. And this black kid from America, sparring partner, couldn't get it. And they're all laughing in the background. He can't get it. And we was rushing in the gym, and I said, you see why he can't get that? And they went, why? I said, because he's a seasoned pro. No seasoned pro throws a 15-punch combination.
No.
And that's what they're trying to get him to do.
Yeah.
And they went, yeah, but that's just ignorance from the trainer. Like
No, it is, yeah. They see, all, like you said,
they've seen it on the YouTube. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do it.
But you're the greatest man who ever put a pair of gloves on to most people, Muhammad Ali. Never see him do pads.
No.
Didn't see him do pads. So, yeah. They are very, like you said, literally, I'll pick that and I'll try that tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's no wrong in trying, I suppose, but like you said, know your fighter. And
know their ability.
Yeah, know their ability. He won't be able to do that. I won't try, but I'll maybe pick a little bit of something from that.
Yeah, we went through a spell a couple of years ago where, you know, all these PTs wanted to get a pro licence. So they could say, I'm a professional boxing trainer.
Yeah.
Couldn't train the dog. But they've got a licence. And of course, what he does, it encourages, I was down the gym the other day and that pro trainer, he gave me a bit of pads. Now he's got a 1-to-1 that he can burn out for £70 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, that's where it all sort of leads on to.
Well, like you said, hopefully the boards are...
Yeah, the board are on it now. They are on it now,
and
hopefully.
Obviously, they changed their policy, haven't they, of you can't just turn pro, you've got to have an amateur background, certain amount of fights.
With some England boxing, which, again, is probably one of those stepping stones that, you know, a lot of kids think, you know what, I can't be bothered with that, so I won't go pro. Where if you've got the passion to want to be a pro, you think, I'll go and do that.
I can do it, yeah.
Yeah, go and do it and take the step forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But other than that, is not, as I say, that's the only changes in the sport that for quite a while they went for a spell of giving trainers licences to people who ain't got a clue. And see what happens is the kids don't realise that it's too late. You know, they get beat and they go, flipping hell. And then someone whispers in their ear, like, what you doing with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's when they want to sort of look around. That's when you can see the understanding of making the change. But if you're with a decent trainer that knows his worth, then
you know, need to change.
And that's what I say. None of my fighters have ever left me, and they've always all gone on to be good, solid pros. That's what. Looking back, if that would be what I'd like people to think. You know, probably a lot of people don't like me. I don't care, but. I know you don't like me, so...
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Doug forced me to do this. He's got a gun behind me there. They can't see it on the camera.
Yeah, I know.
And Kenny forced me to do it as well.
But as you know, I don't give a... whether you like me or not.
Yeah, but, I'm the same. I don't care. Well, you see what you get, innit?
Yeah, and if you asked anyone about me, that's what I'll tell you. I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You know, and I've never lied to a fighter. You know, what I've always said to them, even as amateurs, when I tell you, I think you won, whether you lost or not, that's when I think you won. And I can't remember who Danny had boxed in York Hall. That was in the days when the referee just went, you know, you went to the referee and put your hand up. And I remember wiping his face going to him, you are one lucky boy to get that decision. And that's what I do. I only tell the truth.
Yeah.
If I think you lost, you know, we won't say it on the night, but when we get back to the gym, I'll say, you had a result there to get that. I ain't been in too many situations like that. You know, most of the fighters are, you know, when they lose, if they've lost, you know, you take it on the chin. There's always someone better out there than you. But, you know, I wouldn't lie to anyone. And you won't find me blowing smoke up someone's arse just because they've come in and, you know, they can fight. You know, you get told the truth in my place and that's it.
No, so that's the best way to be.
Yeah.
It's the best way to be.
And it's a crack. We all like to laugh. I told you, Xavier Miller's been coming in and sometimes he just puts his head in his hands when he hears me say things.
Yeah.
He goes, I can't believe you just said that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
No one's going to die, are they? We're all going to have a laugh. No one's dying.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it's about, isn't it?
100%.
You know?
100%. So you must nearly be 70 years of age.
Fuck off.
You must be.
I'm 68.
Yeah, that's what I mean, you old bastard. So
that was, what was that, a guess? That?
Yeah, it was.
I hope you wasn't looking at me and saying he looks 70.
Yeah. I was trying to count on my fingers about the camera here. Because I know before you said he was 62 a couple of years ago, so I was like, 62? So nearly 70 years of age. When are you going to hang your pads up? Or is that not in your remit? You just want to keep
Some days
going
now, I get up and think, do I want this? Because obviously...
Yeah. So you enjoy your golf, you enjoy your son and...
Well, my golf's gone backwards since I've been a coach. I played off for 6 for about 30 years and I don't get a chance to get out as much now. So things always fall on, fight week and I couldn't go then, obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't know. My mum and my dad passed about 6 years ago now, but they go, you're doing too much, you're working. Because I'd normally get up about sort of 8:30, 9, go to the gym. I'm at the gym till about sort of 1:30, 2. Then I'd have something to eat. Then I'd go to work. And then back in the day, I'd work till sort of 12, 1 o'clock. And then the next day do the same. So I've always been out the house like 12, 14 hours. You know, most of the time enjoying myself in the boxing, but you still had to go to work. But yeah, I don't know. You just get committed to what they're on. You know, back in the day when I had all the fighters in the old Lansbury, I mean, I used to do 50 rounds of pads twice a week. Now, the thought of doing 50 rounds of pads twice a week, that's when I think, oh, I'm too old for this. But I still do the pads all the time with them. But obviously, where I ain't got as many fighters as I used to have, I don't have to do as much pads. I still like to do the pads with them. So, you know, I'm not a believer in drills. I don't go, oh, drill this and drill that. You know, we do certain bag movements on the bag and all that sort of stuff. But I like to drum it into them with pads. Do it again, do it again, do it again. So that it's just drilled into them from the pads. Yeah. So when I'm showing them new stuff, then I'm practicing it all the time, and then we'll do the pads and whatever. And I've got, like every coach, I've got certain names for certain things. When I shout, you know, like when I shout, keep like your shape. That means like it's an old thing that people take the piss out of me. But I like them. As soon as I shout out shape, they've got to get their hands up. They're dropping their hands. So, yeah, it's. But I can't visualise retiring yet. I don't know when it'll come. Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, hopefully soon, because I'm fed up of seeing you. I'm fed up of you ringing
thanks for
the
welcome.
No, I hope you never do. I hope you keep going. And I hope you get a world champion. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be nice. But, you know, what people don't realise, it's like, you know, you get these kids coming and saying, oh, I've had 4 fights. I want a Southern Area title fight. Like, fuck off, you want a Southern Area title fight. You've only had 4 fights. Yeah. You know, back in the day, you would have had 20 fights and you might not have even got a look in then because of the politics and who your promoter was. So, you know, to be, you know, I remember when Danny won when he won the Southern Area, so he was the first one to win the Southern Area in the gym. Johnny won it after him. I think, I'm just going, like, that's where I'm getting old, I can't remember. But that's what I said to him. You want to, you know, you're Southern Area champion. No one can take that away from him. But all the boys earned their way into the position. You know, you got to put the application into the board. The board only sanction the fight when they think it's, you know, a viable fight. So, so, you know, they've all done their apprenticeship and earned their stripes for it. But, you know, and then you're looking at, you know, 4 to 5 years to get someone to Southern Area level. But these kids now want to come in and have 4 fights and talk about Southern Area. It's bollocks, So you can imagine how long the process is to get them to a world title fight. You know, you've got to be with the right promoter. That's why we signed Johnny to MTK. Or it was MGM back in the day then, I think. To, you know, to get him on the bigger shows and get him the bigger limelight. You know, Danny was always friends with Eddie. Eddie put him on some shows, you know, when he fought Ricky Boylan at the O2. When he won his Southern Area against... Chris Evangelou, like we was there to lose. You know, they thought that Chris Evangelou was going to beat him, and he beat him in the first fight, and then demolished him in the second fight. And then he fought Ricky Boylan at the O2, like a main undercard to Joshua, and that was a funny story. That he came into the gym. We come in like because I like to check the weight in the gym before we go to the weigh-in to make sure they're right. Anyway, he's come in. He's got 28 grand in pound notes in a plastic bag, right? That's how many tickets he sold. So he's put it on the side in the gym. We've checked the weight. Right, everybody in the cab, we're going over to the Reebok gym in Canary Wharf for the weigh-in. So, of course, he's got his gear. He's walking out, and I've looked and thought, fucking money's on the side there. So I've got the money, put it in my bag. We get halfway across the Blackwall Tunnel, and he's like, the money, what money? The money, the ticket money's on the side in the gym, the ticket. Oh, we've got to turn around. And I went, relax, I've got it in my bag. He called me everything under the sun. But that's how scatterbrained he was. 28 grand in pound notes on the side.
Left it on the side.
But we had some great times, especially in the old gym. And we're in the new gym now as well, aren't we? So we've been in there, it's flying, but I think it's about 7 years now we've been in there.
God, that's really time flies.
Yeah,
Man.
just flies. Yeah.
Time flies.
So.
Well, again, we really appreciate you coming down, taking your time out to come and see us, and make
all
sure you bill Ken for the.
Oh yeah, he's going to get a bill with me tomorrow, mate, for a day off work. Trust me.
100%. Yeah. But nah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks
good to see you, mate. Yeah, good.
Cheers, mate. Well, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. He's a great man out, really deep down he is, and believe it or not, for his age, he has got Instagram and Facebook there. So if you want to give him a little follow him and his fighters, like you said there, he's got a couple coming up with some title fights. So give them a follow there. And if you don't follow us already, give us a like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and give us a nice rate wherever you pick up your podcast. And as always, tune in next week with another fantastic guest on the Be First podcast. Cheers, guys.